What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things Interviews
with Shawn and Andrew.
Today we have two wonderful guests, Brook and Elizabeth Mosser.
We had a blast sitting down with these two here in Nashville. I've known Brook from afar for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And big fan of his work. They together run a nonprofit called Intentional, and they do intentional parenting, intentional fatherhood. They speak around the world and have written many books. Actually, Brook just wrote a new book called Sowing a Hidden Seed, Daily Prayers for Your Child's Spiritual Growth. And it's all about how you can intentionally pray for your children as they grow. So we enjoyed our conversation, kind of touched on a lot of topics.
Marriage, relationships, dating, parenting, and kind of everything that goes into that.
Yeah, it was a fascinating conversation. We hope you enjoy it. And if you want to find out more about Brook and Elizabeth and the work that they're up to, you can find their information in the show notes down below. Without further ado, let's roll into it.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Great-grandpa was a beekeeper.
When you run out, let us know. We'll send you more.
That's
We've got 400 pounds in our
amazing.
garage.
I freaking love.
Oh my gosh.
We love honey like
We
you wouldn't
love-
believe.
Tell
Yes.
Bestie that this is better than his honey.
Yeah.
Okay, when you see
He's
him.
We'll
doing,
tell him.
Dude, he's ripping you so hard
I
on
know.
this.
I know.
Is he?
And the packaging is so great.
Yeah. Do you guys actually? Is this a business? You guys actually sell this as well?
Yeah.
We were for a while. It's not like
It's not.
it's
Yeah.
our favorite gift to give.
Can
so
we
it's
just
not
say
paying our
thank you?
bills.
This will be used probably at our kids will probably find it quick. But the bottle that is.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
His great grandpa was a moonshiner and a.
Beekeeper.
We need to set
Beekeeper.
this here. Just
That's-
honored. Thank you.
amazing.
This
Yeah.
is fun.
That
This
will
is
get
fun.
used
I mean, just
for
the
sure.
packaging alone is. I mean, I don't even know what it tastes like. I'm sure it's
Just wait
It
till you
actually
taste
is
it.
really good honey.
All right.
Okay.
It's the only
So
honey.
you
we
guys
use.
are away for 3 or 4 nights?
No, we were in Branson before this.
How many check-in bags do you have?
Dude, freaking! I don't want to talk about this. This has made us so not because
We're
we
both
also
light travelers.
Okay.
we're light travelers, but we also have a couple people on the road that were like, okay, if we're out, like it was a guy Ruslan. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So I was with him the other day, and I was like, okay, if we're in the same spot, like let's grab a conversation. So then you're bringing this minus lights.
You bring the whole podcast
You brought your
setup?
setup?
Wow.
I'm
Are
not
you in
rec-
charge of this?
No, we just met her here. Or like
She
she
flew
flew
in
in
yesterday.
yesterday.
She
So
So you guys just
so-
met? Okay.
No, no,
now
no,
we're
no.
vibing, all right.
No, so
just
she
flew
leads
here.
events. Actually, fun story. So her brother John Mark is married to Tammy.
Okay.
So track that. Tammy's brother is Tano, her husband.
Oh,
Tammy
funny.
and Tana.
Mm-hmm.
We're a family.
Wow.
So yeah, get
Wait.
the connection there.
We're
Are you
sort
guys
of
related?
in-laws.
Yeah, that's but through marriage, but yes, we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. And
Really family in lots of ways. So in Abby
Yeah.
slays literally. We do events, and so I mean they're big events, and so
Without
give
Abby,
all
they
of
wouldn't
those
happen.
to her.
Casual flag.
we just give them all to
Nice.
her, and so no, it's a
You
huge. We're
organize
actually
them?
doing the factory. We're going to be at the factory next in April, doing our
Wow.
next motherhood retreat.
Oh, amazing.
So it's great.
Yeah.
So please feel free to come. I mean, the dudes
Yeah.
come too, but it's a motherhood retreat. But we're doing the factory, just because it was such a central spot for so many people on the
It's
East
such
Coast.
a cool spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyone that you're like, hey, we're at the factory or we're in Franklin, they
Yeah.
they want to be there.
And do you guys always match too with the
No,
shoe game?
no,
It's a vibe.
it doesn't bother me. It bothers
It
her.
bothers
So I
me.
told her, I was
match?
like, I only have 2 pairs of shoes on this trip because I was trying to.
What else can I throw out
And
there?
she
that
has
really-
like 4 or 5 pairs of shoes on this trip. So I was like, listen, I kind of just want to let you know this is my only option. So I asked her express permission today.
It's true.
I said, I don't, most of the time the lower half's not filmed. So
It's true.
okay.
We'll just solely focus in. Let's have a shoe camera. We'll jump
Yeah.
in here. A lot of what you all do and work on has the word intentional involved in it.
Sure.
Why live an intentional life? I mean, why not just sit and vibe and kind of just like go with the flow? What is intentionality and why is it important to you all?
Mm.
I'm gonna throw that back on you guys as well, because I think you guys actually embody so much of that, right? Like you don't move through the world haphazardly, and most of us, I'd say, and Elizabeth will probably have a smarter answer, so I'll give you my quick thing, and then let her share it. But I'd say a couple things are like, when it comes to family, I think the world that we live in, and you guys, we're all in. There's so many people are so intentional, but in my opinion, about all the wrong stuff. So we get really passionate about our careers, about where we're spending our energy, maximizing our recovery process. I mean, I love saunas and cold plunges, by the way. Are you these people?
Oh yeah.
We need to talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it is a love language to me on a deep level. And I'm all about that. But I think we often don't transfer that to the family space, or it just falls short. And so I think the idea of intentionality is just simply saying, it's Jeremiah 24:15. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Like, we're going to pick a way and we're going to be thoughtful about it, just like we'd be thoughtful about our business, just like we'd be thoughtful about our marriage, just like we'd be thoughtful about what schools we're trying to get into or get our kids into. And so, I mean, for me, I won't speak for you, sweetheart, but for me, that's where it comes from in a deep way.
Yeah, I love that question. It's really making me like think about why is that so important to us? And I think I've been struck even over the last couple of years about how many scriptures that talk about like running the race marked out for you, to run with endurance. But there's so many like specific scriptures that talk about specific giftings that God's given us. And if you think about that, we are made in his image, made to be the body of Christ, the hands and feet of Jesus. We really have to be intentional about figuring out what our role in that is supposed to be, like personally and as a family and with our kids. And I also think the older I get, the more I've been thinking about like even seeing my kids age so quickly and thinking about I have like one shot at being their mom, at stewarding them through these years of their life. And they'll be my kids as long as we're all alive. But I only have one shot at each of these stages or even this current stage of my life. And I think it's probably a little bit how I'm wired of like, I want to do the absolute best job that I can. So I need to actually put like thought into it and think about it when it's so easy. And I think this is just how the enemy works. It's so easy to just like survive our life, right? And there are seasons where we are just in survival mode, and that's totally okay. And there's actually a lot of muscles that are built during those seasons. But I don't want to just survive my life. I want to really know what God's called me to do and called our family to do.
Yeah.
So,
Most of us don't end up there, where if we don't aim for something, we don't ever hit that mark, right? So that's kind of the idea, but it's like, how do you do that within your family context? So that's one of the things we're passionate about, and we're failing through. So like, if you guys mess up, we mess up probably more. I think that's our biggest negative development has been our best friend, like not doing well at first, but having to really figure it out through struggle. That's been a lot of our life. So
interesting.
Reverse engineer intentional parenting. So I feel like if someone's listening and they say, I just want to be happy with my kid. Is that intentional parenting? Or are you putting more effort into it? When you say an aim, how can you intentionally parent without being an over-controlling, overbearing parent?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you are an over-controlling, overbearing parent. If you're anything like me, I think that I wish it was that clean, right? So I think the reality is we are all haphazardly in a very messy way learning how to be parents. I think your story, how you grew up, the models you had or didn't have, it absolutely impacts your parenting in such a deep way. My wife came from a family that was really thoughtful. They did this back in the 80s when like people weren't talking about it as much. So she came into this thing called marriage and she was pretty generally healthy, which was rad for me, not rad for her. When I was like a wreck, my family had a lot of different things going on, a lot of different dynamics. And so I grew up with a lot of trauma and a lot of things that I didn't even know. So we got married at 21. And then all of a sudden, because we're totally ready at that age, by the way, to get married. Highly don't recommend it. What age were you guys when you got married?
23.
Oh, okay. We're in good
24?
company.
Yeah.
So we get married at 21, like we know.
Yeah.
And then we decide, let's have kids. We decided to have kids at 23 and realizing like, oh my gosh, we do not know what's happening at all. And so to respond to your question, we got married so young and our stories just collided. And it was like, I have no idea how to be a good parent or a good father or a good, husband to my wife. And so the intentionality space for me personally, I think us in general is like, we have been so specific about our weaknesses. And like, I think the way that you become intentional is about identifying your own story. Like, where did you come from? What were your parents like? Did you have models? Like I'm a dad right now of a 16-year-old boy. Well, that stage of my life, my parents had a lot going on and they kind of ejected from the ability to parent in an effective way. So right now in real time, even this week, even on this trip we're on currently, I'm having interactions with my son. I'm like, I don't actually know how to parent that from memory, from models. So I'm talking to her and other people like, how do we do this stage? So I don't think intentionality is being a perfect parent by any means. None of us are perfect. I think you'll fail more than you'll succeed in a lot of ways. I think be okay with failing, but so much of it's the repair space. Like we're going to fail all the time. And Elizabeth does so much great work on attachment stuff, and I mean, so many people do, but I think this is a particular passion for you. But I think the repair space is so important and powerful because we do mess up all the time, and we're in that club too. And so to reverse engineer it, I'd say be honest with yourself, be patient, and realize that it's a journey for everyone. Knowing your story is huge. Knowing how to like actually have a goal, like we talked about, like what are you trying to accomplish at dinner? Is it just get everyone fed and into bed, or is it something like, hey, we just want to have a moment to pause and focus on Jesus? Like little things like that. I think it's the micro moments of each day that makes you an intentional parent, not a perfect parent. So those are my quick thoughts.
When I think about intentionality, pretty much relate everything back to athletics or the weight room, because I'm a meathead. But I think about being an athlete on a team, like playing on a football team and having coaches who provided the framework and were so intentional with the schedule, the nutrition, the exercises, the practice. And the transition away from that for me, as well as for Shawn and a lot of other athletes, is so difficult because you leave that scaffolding of like the schedule and the end goal. Like there's no finite, tangible endpoint anymore. You're just like, all right, well, I'm not playing sports, so what do I do? And then if I manage to figure out something else to do, I don't know how to get there. Like I don't have a coach anymore to hold my hand through it. And so you go from like high intentionality to low intentionality. And I guess if I'm comparing those two styles, it's like at some point, I remember when I first got released from an NFL team, it was 3 months before I got another shot. And I sat on the couch for 2.5 months.
Whoa.
And I just watched TV legitimately. I was a grown man. I was 22 and I like, and then at some point you're like, what am I doing? Like, to your point, it's like I get one shot at this and I feel like I have been given some talents or I can contribute. I think at some point you hit a wall of like, dang, I am doing something. It's just not what I want to do. So I guess the idea of intentionality is it does require a lot of thought and awareness, reflection. I would say prayer. In football, we would always talk about like you go out and practice and you're either in survival mode or you're like really attacking it and thriving. Survival mode is like, all right, boys, it's another day. Let's just try to get through it, you know? Whereas there's another layer of reality where you're doing the same things. It's just like the engagement, the excitement, the ability to, I would say, like gather community around through that, as opposed to just pouting yourself and like thinking about, oh, how can I make, it's like more of a open-handed, like broader perspective. So
the work thing though, I want to highlight what you just said. It's really important because you actually just named it, which is, and there's so much power in naming stuff. We can't like fix everything, but we can name a lot of stuff and it helps us see things more clearly. And what you just said actually named the whole thing. When you don't do the work, like everything starts to fall apart. Now, most of us do the work in all the tangible areas. I think the invitation from the Spirit, the invitation that I know we would love to invite people in, because this is a lot of our journey, is you have to do the work of spiritual formation in your own life. Not everyone grows up and tells you that. Not everyone's like, hey, guess what? If you're wanting to form as a whole human, there's physicality is huge, job's huge, but like you got to do the work internally. And one of the things I know that we're very passionate about is like biblically, we have a responsibility to know what's going on inside of us. So when you over respond to your kid, and you will, if anyone's like, am I going to do that? Yes, you'll probably happen today. You'll over respond to your kid, and to ask the question like, where did that come from? Is that my anxiety? Is that my fear? Is that my nervous system not being able to regulate? Are they poking on something in me that I never got? You know, all these questions, but doing the work is, I think, what we mean even more by intentionality is that you take that responsibility that Jesus gives all of us to step into a space of doing the work spiritually forming around these things.
Can you help me differentiate the self-help and self-improvement space from where you all might land?
Ooh.
Hot topic. I love this. Yes.
That's a really good question. Immediately makes me think back to like, who has God made you and what has he called you specifically to do? Is somewhat of the difference maker of not, it's not a, well, I'm just going to try harder to know myself better, to give myself what I need, and to be a better parent. Like that might work for a little while until your kid gets to a certain age and bumps up against one of your wounds you didn't even know you had. And it's like all of those opportunities are just opportunities for God to bring his healing into your life. Like we are all in desperate need of healing, whether you had Brooke's upbringing or mine. Like I had phenomenal parents. We all are in therapy and we all have wounds. Like that's just the nature of life this side of heaven. And I think it's bringing your whole self, all the broken parts of you, the gifted parts of you that your ego can get involved and your selfish ambition can get involved. It's bringing all of yourself to God every single day and every single moment that you can remember and saying, God, would you transform me? And it's, I think the difference between all the, even just good spiritual self-help stuff that are like good tools, but it's us using our ambition to go after changing ourselves. And I think the longer I'm a parent, the longer I'm alive, the more I see God uses all of the messiness, the times that I completely blow it with my kids, like the messiness of our story that has turned out very different than we would have thought.
Yeah.
Like all of that has shaped me more than any of the stuff I've tried harder at. And I am like a go-getter, try harder, perfectionist type of person. And when I come at my life or my kids or my parenting in that mode, my kids just feel pressure and I just feel completely exhausted. But when I come at it from truly like a place of weakness, like this is where I'm really weak and God, I really need you to invade in this moment because I'm like watching myself blow it in real time with my kids or with my husband.
Thank you for admitting that. Nice.
It's true.
I just want to say I'm glad we've all heard it.
You've got it.
I want to note that
literally
detail.
recorded. You can play it on a loop back to yourself.
I'm just taking a moment. This is nice to hear. I know you feel it. Don't always say it. That's good. Keep going.
But yeah, like I think it's depending on the power of the Holy Spirit to actually do the transformation. And I can put myself in all the right places and do all the right things for God to do that. But it's him who actually does that work.
Yeah. The transforming piece, like I think that is the biggest part. Like what's the difference is, well, where's your power coming from? Is it from yourself or is it from the Spirit of God? And I know from us, well, obviously we, if you couldn't tell, have a Christian perspective and are very passionate about that. But I think I can only say this from personal experience. When I try to just tackle the idea of parenting and being a better parent on my own, it gets worse. I don't know anyone else's situation, but it gets worse, gets more complex. For me specifically, when I'm like, Jesus, I need help. This happened yesterday morning with one of our kids. They were needing something. We're away on a trip. We get a call, a lot of stuff going on. Before I pick up the phone, Jesus, give me grace with the insanity that I'm about to interact with because I do not understand. I don't even know what this child particularly needs. And it turned out to go okay, right? But I know that I've done that so many times where I've just been like, let me just use all of my internal knowledge, and it's just broken down so bad. So I think there's just a grace that we can't even fully understand when we step in that space and invite the Spirit in.
That reminds me of, we had a conversation yesterday where someone is just kind of dabbling into this journey of religion and Christianity.
Yeah.
And they felt debilitated by anxiety and worry and what ifs and how could and all of these things. And I get really caught up with that with control with kids.
Yeah.
Because I try to break down the day of, well, they have school, and then after school, I should do something really intentional. I should go pick them up. We should go do something. We should have time at the art center.
Mom guilt.
Oh my gosh.
Guilt.
And then it's, I'm spending too much time with one kid and not the other. Did I make them feel loved today? I was really tired. It just spirals.
Yeah.
And something I love, your devotional.
Yeah.
It's this idea of like each day taking a small moment to just reflect on these babies. I said this in our debrief the other night. I said, how lucky are we that we have the greatest kids, obviously biased.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, we actually aren't lucky at all because they're perfectly made. They're God's babies. God made them perfectly and gave them to us. Like that was intentional. And I love the intentionality you bring with the devotionals of like recentering parents' minds each day to say, you can't control it all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We can do a little bit better each day, but
Shawn's control is probably overcompensating. I'm kind of like that uncle out of Christmas Vacation where I'm like, all right, kids, go grip and rip, baby.
Yeah, dude, but that's a good uncle. We need both. We we share that dynamic. I want to say though, you just said something really important. We're in all sorts of form of therapy. So I just want to say we're saying this from a place of like, we actively, last week we're at therapy. Like or family therapy with our older kids because of some dynamics, because our third one has special needs and it affects the whole family dynamic. All that to say, our therapist just told us the other day, she's like, you'll miss a tune to your kids 70% of the time. And we're like, that sucks. Why would you tell us that? Like, I don't want to know that. That feels really gross. Like, what do you mean? And I was like, so what's the hope? Like, why are you 70's more than 50?
Yeah.
What do we do? So just your point, like when you have that feeling, like, am I missing it? Probably. We all are. But it's all about in those moments of small connection, they go further than we know. And then the repair work is exponential. Like just by being able to say, I'm sorry, I over responded. Taking responsibility heals not only their soul, but their body and their humanity. And so I'm always finding comfort in the reality, like even professionals that are in this space all day long go, we misattune to our kids all the time. And that idea of attunement is like being able to see them, to soothe them, to help them. I think that happens to us often. And I don't think we're in a culture right now that really aids the person that is wanting to be intentional. So I want to highlight that. Like, this is a hard time to be intentional because we have way too much information. So now we all know in all the complex ways that we're damaging our kids. Our parents didn't really know. They're like, well, we're probably damaging them. We don't know how. We'll just, they'll be on their journey. Now we're like, we have podcasts and like this and others that are like so helpful and informing, right? We do podcast work. We're all about it. But sometimes knowing all that is so hard to like just be chill in your own skin with your own kids, at least in my experience.
To your point of like fear, like I've noticed just even you would think that the longer you're a parent, the less fear you would feel. But I feel like we started our parenting journey maybe very beginning of the age of the internet and smartphones.
Yeah.
And we have so much information, to what Brooke was saying, and it can lead to so much fear and like, well, I'm not doing this, and somebody told me I should do that, and I need to be doing this. And there's something so simply beautiful and profound about just taking a minute and unburdening that to God.
Yes.
And so Brooke was the one who wrote this devotional, but I got to read it like all in one sitting because he wanted me to read through it. And because
I'm smart, I was like, there's no way I'm putting anything out in the world my wife doesn't see it first. Like, it's like, why would you do this?
But by the end, like all I could notice was like my shoulders had dropped a little bit. I was taking deeper breaths because I was praying for my kids the whole time I'm sitting and reading the whole thing. And it was such a reminder to me of the great need in our current time for all of us parents to be taking 2 minutes and bringing God our fears as a parent, whether it's the fears of the things we feel like we're missing or the fears of things we're seeing in our kids that we're worried about. Or for me, it's a lot of times future fears. I'll see one thing and I'll fear project out into what that's going to look like in 10, 20 years. And of course, it's always my fault.
She's good at that. You
I'm
guys,
really,
you guys
really
should
good at that.
absolutely talk
Really
about
good
how
at that.
catastrophic life could get.
Oh, for sure.
Like even on the way here, we're like, she's like, well, there's a couple things with our kids that we need to talk about right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, sweetheart, this is a year away.
Yeah.
So can we have some faith for the next?
To me in that.
No, well, I don't know if I get annoyed pretty quick because I'm like, do we not have faith? And then don't take that advice.
No, we need to pray.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. I need to pray.
Most of the time we end up praying because, I mean, honestly, that's a centering.
Yeah. Very centering.
So what would you say the hidden seed is when you say sowing a hidden seed?
Oh man, I think it's the faith in Jesus. And the hidden part is, I think that a lot of prayer is a hidden thing. So like things happen in the hidden parts of your life. Like there's stuff happening in your soul right now. You know, if you're walking with Jesus, you're growing in all these ways. We can't tangibly see that. It's a very hidden process. I think the hidden part for me is actually, that's a quote from a guy named Ronald Rolheiser. Amazing. Love him. He's a Catholic guy and loves Jesus very much. And it's a part of a big quote he has. And that's one of the phrases he uses. And it always struck me because specifically when we go about and sow a hidden seed, it's like the secret work that parenting, I think, often is. Your kids have no clue at what you've given them already. The home, the family, the love, the fact that you guys are still together. Like you're giving them all of these things that they will never come aware of until they're your age on the other side of this, right? Like, wow, my parents actually did, we're at that stage where our kids still think pretty bogus about stuff and over the top about other things. But now they're old enough to like use it against us. Like, hey, is this for intentional or is this because you like want to talk to us about something? We're like, whoa, like never about the ministry part. But, I think the hidden part is the prayer for your kids is the most, in my opinion, is the most powerful thing you can do because of the point, like you said, how in the world are you going to be there for all the problems. You can't be God in their life. You can't solve all the problems. But if you're a doer, I know I am, I would imagine you guys are, it gives me something to do. It's like when I talk to God about their faith and about where they are at, or where rather they're not at, and all the struggles in their life, I mean, not only does my anxiety drop, but I'm actually talking to a God that can do something about it. Richard Foster says prayer moves the hand of God. Like when we pray, like stuff happens. And all I know is that, and I can't remember who said this, but when I don't pray, coincidences don't happen. But when I do, a lot of coincidences happen, you know? And I think that's the reminder, is that we can't always track all this hidden stuff, but there's that unseen realm that the Bible talks about that we're all in right now. And that's the hidden space where all this transformation in deep ways happens. So that's the hidden part, but I think there's a lot of other metaphors you could draw from it, but that's where it was for me.
It's my kind of book too, because you got words going left to right, up and down, all kind of places.
It is for
Most people
ADHD brains. Yeah. My wife's diagnosing me all the time. Like I literally have an appointment when we get back 2 days after. She's like, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, I'm still in a mild amount of denial, but that's probably why it's that way.
For ADHD?
No, I mean, yeah,
Just
yeah,
keep
for
them
ADHD,
engaged,
for
you know?
ADHD, yeah. That's what
Keep you
that's the
engaged.
meeting that I have. But she's great at being like, you see. And then the other day, our son doubled down on me. He's like, Dad, we were flying on a plane, and I was sitting in the back, and
He
you were
has ADHD, by
stop
the
it.
way.
Who?
Duke does.
Oh yeah. But he's sitting in the back and he's like watching me, and they have this whole side conversation months before I even knew this. They're like, yeah, when you were sitting on that plane, I was like watching how you were doing stuff. I was like, and my son's like, dude, you totally got it. And I'm like,
No, he texted me and
Yeah,
said,
on
I'm
the plane.
traveling with Dad. He totally has
Wow.
ADHD.
what a
Funny.
gift, son. I
This
love
will
how
be
our family's
exciting
taught
next
how to.
week. Yeah.
It is.
will
We'll see who's right.
Life's
Okay.
about to get better.
Just kidding.
So, intentional parenting and intentional fatherhood.
Yeah.
You have a 16-year-old son.
Yes, sir.
At what point does me being intentional for my child become intrusive, or like stepping on toes? When do they start being intentional for their own life? You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
what's the role of a parent? How have you seen that evolve? Because right now it's like, you know, we're changing we're very intentional with all the things of their life, because that's the phase we're in, it feels like. But I've already noticed, like our 6-year-old, it's like, dang, I thought I was a really good parent to like 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
But now I got to I have to change my whole strategy, because she needs to start doing more chores and stuff like this. You got to, it's constantly changing. And then you're like,
You think
do
you
I
get the hang of it and it changes.
100%.
yeah, but you're like, do I slowly remove myself from this picture so they can grasp intentionality for themselves? Or
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Makes me think of, I can't remember who said it, but it's like the stages of a disciple. And correct me if I butcher this.
Sure. I'd be
But
happy
it's
to.
thinking of like somebody who's an apprentice of Jesus, or even thinking of like biblical times where there was a rabbi and they had people following them. And first it was, I do, you watch. And that's so much of the young years, right? Of like, we are teaching them how to do everything, and we're showing them. And then, you know, we're helping them do it after they've watched us do it.
Potty
And
training.
then
Think
it's-
about that, right?
Yeah.
Great example.
Exactly.
A very tangible example we experience.
Our 1-year-old stands in the bathroom with me every time. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
There you go.
buddy, I guess
I'm
we're
not
doing
sure I
this.
need you to watch right now, but
There's an age
he's
where this
learning.
becomes weird. We're not there yet. But there's
Yeah.
And by the way, they grow out of that. My son at this point, well, that's not happening anymore. Yeah.
And then isn't it you do, I'll help? Isn't
Yep.
that the next one?
It's close.
Where probably what you're experiencing right now with your 6-year-old,
Yeah.
where it's like you do need to let her do more, which is
Yeah.
hard because you're so used to doing everything for them, right? And so you're still there. You're still there guiding. You're still giving great input. Or maybe it's I do, you help. Is that what I said?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I think you should just
Something
keep going
like
with what-
that.
You're getting the
And then
idea.
eventually
I'm in.
it's
You're getting the
then eventually it's their doing, and
Yeah.
we're there. We're watching,
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
supporting, and we're not withdrawing our support, but we are releasing them to make mistakes and to do
Yeah.
things on their own. And I think the tricky journey, and we're in it right now, is as our kids have gotten older, it switches from there's a lot of things that are black and white when they're young, like don't hit your sister, don't touch the fire,
Yeah.
go to the bathroom in the toilet, not on the floor. Like there's things that are just obvious black and white. And then slowly over time, it's almost like very little is black and white anymore. And it's everything's a discernment issue.
Everything.
And I feel like I'm more dependent on the Spirit in this stage of parenting than I ever was in the younger years. And that's been a really good thing. I've needed that because everything is like discernment for this particular kid.
Yeah.
Is that actually what's best for him? Is he ready
Yeah.
for that level of freedom, or does he need a little bit more time?
Mhm.
And so we're just having to really listen to each other, because at first we had kind of different opinions, and by the end we were on the same team.
But your son also has an opinion too, which
Exactly.
is so fascinating.
Exactly.
And what's also really fascinating is what news we're going to give him, which is different than maybe what he wants,
I
right?
know.
And so,
yeah.
but you said that brilliantly. Maybe a metaphor that's for a more simple mind like mine is in the sense of like right now when they're young, it's a lot of policing. It's like cop. Here's what you do it. And then when it gets to the stage where we're in right now with our older kids, it's a lot of coaching.
Yeah.
I can't make my son physically do anything. I can't make him do it. So he knows that. And we talk about this all the time. So it's like, son, I can't make you get up on time. Can't make you go to work. I can't make you do the morning routine that I laid out. But I'm going to tell you what happens when you do it. And I'm going to tell you what happens when you don't. I'm going to tell you the guys that I know that do it. I'll tell you what's happened in my life. And you get to decide what kind of life you want to live, right? And then you have to just sit in this wonderful tension of them sometimes picking the best thing that you've given, like you've given them the easiest menu. Just pick one thing. And sometimes you're like, I don't want anything on the menu. I'd like the special menu. And you're like, that's going to screw up your life. So I know for us, it is really, it's challenging. But if you do a lot of the hard work right now, right? Like by being close to your kids. And I just came across this new study about fatherhood. And it is just like, it all comes down to present mothers, absolutely. But so much of faith, so much of the foundational stuff is passed on just through a father being present. Just by being around consistently in their life, these things are passed down, which should relieve everyone and also call everyone up, at the same time. But to encourage anyone listening, like that coaching stage is so nuanced. Because you guys get that perfectly, right? Like, here's where you should go. Here's what you should do. I'm gonna show you. But then you got to choose to do it. Do you want to be the person that decides to sit on the couch for 2.5 months, or do you want to do the work? So it's a lot of coaching. It's a lot of conversations, like late night. He'll get home from work. He works at a taco shop, gets home from work, and it's like, okay, he's like, I don't love the boundaries we have on the phone. I feel like you're just like right here with these boundaries on the phone. Like I have a smartphone now because he drives, but then at the same time, he's like at that space where he's going, I feel like having these restrictions on the phone are like too much. And it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? You're being kind of global about that. Be specific. How do you feel like we are like hovering over you, and forcing him to like have that conversation? And that took like 2 hours. I was up till midnight trying to nuance like, so it really comes down to the fact that I won't let you listen to explicit music whenever you want. Is that what it is? He's like, I think so. It's like, okay, well, I'm not changing my mind on that one.
Yeah.
So, but it's that all the time, and it's beautiful and it's complex, and it's just, like Elizabeth said, the discernment piece is so essential.
And I think, you mentioned like, how do we not just be hovering so much and controlling so much? Like, when do we know when it's time to release a little bit? And I think if there's one thing we can do as parents, our kids are going to fail. We're going to fail them. They're going to fail and mess up in life. Like, our goal is not to raise perfect kids. Our goal is to raise kids who become adults who know what to do when they fail.
Yeah.
And so to me, a huge win when my kids blow it, or when they handle a relationship really poorly, or if they really screw up in their life, like what I want and what is so, I just feel like I get so excited when they can come to me and tell me that they did. And that when we can be their safe place where they know they can bring us anything, and hopefully we're not going to react poorly. Hopefully we're just going to be with them in it. And they'll have to sit in the consequences of the mistakes they make. But my hope and our goal is that we will just be a soft landing place where when they mess up, they're like, I want to call mom and dad.
Yeah. That's the biggest goal.
How do you get to that point? Because I struggle with, I think maybe there's two styles where you're like, all right, I want to make my kid feel the consequences, but then that might not encourage them to share more. You know what I'm saying? So how do you balance enforcing the consequences while still cultivating a desire in them to want to share and trust you with sharing? You know what I'm saying? Because like, if I'm a kid, when I was a kid, it's like, well, I know I did something bad, so I'm gonna not share this with my parents because I know something bad.
Me too. By a lot, like a lot.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. Well, one thing that is, I think, really important to highlight is, as you're growing up, especially, discipline biblically means training. So what's interesting is we think discipline is like you're in trouble, right? Like, here's a consequence. Now, sometimes there's consequences, but what we have found is that life is pretty good at handing out consequences, and we don't always need to double down on that. Now, there's absolute times when they're really little where you have to be specific. You have to teach them, like, hey, because this happened, this is the result. You're teaching them that life has consequences. That's one stage. The stage we're in now is more of like, wow, the guilt and shame that you feel about what happened is a lot. And it's honestly punishment enough in that sense. And it's highlighting what happened. It's highlighting how does that, actually feel? And I want to be with you in it, but this is exactly why we talked about not doing that. One of the phrases I think that's really good, especially with kids your age and stage, we use this with our younger ones as well, is you're safe to tell the truth. Like, hey, I want you to tell the truth, and you're safe to tell the truth. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be a consequence, but what it does mean is that I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to over respond, and you're safe to be honest with me. Because most of the time, the reason you're not honest with your parents is because you're like, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to freak out? Are they going to, so when we give them that permission to say, we're going to do our best, and then we have to really be clear. Like, sometimes that means, well, you bit your sister. Well, we told you not to hit her. Biting's in the same category as hitting. So there's going to be some consequences for that. And thank you for telling me the truth. And I want to say, I'm so proud of you for being aware. It's all that type of stuff that's so important to reinstill, that they can come back and be safe to tell you the truth. So if my son comes to me and tells me like some catastrophic thing he's done, I've already decided whatever the catastrophic thing is, he hasn't been in that space. I've already decided, like, I'm going to be calm and I want to be present. And I just want to sit with him and say, dude, this has got to be really hard to feel. And that's the goal. Like, will that happen? I hope so. I'm projecting that it will, but right now it's just setting up the place that he wants to talk to us. So,
yeah.
And I think knowing your kids too, like we have 2 kids who tell us everything, like who have like some OCD bents, like that's kind of why they tell us everything. And then 2 that don't want to tell us everything right away. And so we view it as our job, as much as we can't force them, but to really be aware of that and work to set a stage where they feel like they can come, and really work to draw them out, to ask them the right questions, to remind them often, you can tell me anything, right? Or ask them as they get older, is there anything that I'm doing, any way I'm reacting to you that's making you feel like you can't tell me that there's stuff going on, or that there's stuff you're trying to get away with, even just asking them that question and then being humble enough to listen to their response. And so oftentimes our son, with me specifically, will be like, yeah, I just feel like you're like watching over me too closely, And so he doesn't want to tell me stuff because I'm hovering too much. And so I'm learning in real time with him right now to let go, to take a step back, and to wait until he's ready to tell me certain things, and not be like constantly digging and trying to figure things out, Dang.
There's way too many directions to go. I'm like, should we talk more about this?
Anything you want. Go.
Something that keeps coming back in my mind is this idea of like intentional parenting, intentional marriage.
Yeah.
We talk a lot on our podcast about things that we do in our marriage to be very intentional, to like, we audit our marriage a lot, daily, weekly. We have sit down conversations that are safe spaces where we we do annual, meetings and all these things.
Yeah.
And we're trying to transfer that over into parenting as well, to have like goals and what do we need for this kid versus this kid, and how can we show up for them a little bit more. We said it the other week, we're like, this feels like a week we need to be with our 4-year-old, because last week it was all about the 6-year-old.
Yeah.
So he needs a little bit more, and we try to do that very as much as we can. Feedback we've gotten for the marriage side though is, wow, that's just not romantic. Like, you're taking out the whimsy, you're taking out, the adventurous side and the impulsivity, and like, with so much intention comes so much conversation and so much planning. How do you protect the joy of it all?
Those are really great. I love the backstory and the question, and I think that you're not alone for sure. And I think it's important to highlight everyone is made so uniquely different. So some people need that whimsy. They're like, we do not plan sex. It has to be spontaneous every time. I'm like, well, how often do you like having sex? Because if you're waiting till you feel like it, a lot of times, like feeling, I can't remember who says this, but it was Dallas Willard. I think he said, feelings are great servants, but disastrous masters. And when we're trying to follow our feelings, like, dude, they are leads to disaster. But they're great servants, right? They're great. Like, hey, we're going to do this, and feelings follow. And so much of life is like that. I mean,
Take a note.
But that said, though, I think it's like for Elizabeth and I won't overshare you can just tell me how, you just say stop. But I think for us, like the idea of romance is beautiful. And I think that romance is so important. I also think that it changes in every age and stage. And when you have kids, it's one stage. Like all of a sudden when we had kids, she wasn't like really fond of me touching her. I was like, I don't like this. Like, give the kids back. This is my wife. She's like, my body's for everybody. I was like, but me first, right? Like that was my idea. And then I had to realize like, no, there's actually something really good in this for me too. It's good for us. And so, I mean, I won't speak for you, but I know that we are very specific about planning times of romance or intimacy or even connecting. Now, we don't always do it because our life is pretty chaotic with some of our family dynamics. And so that can be really tricky, but we always know it's like on the calendar, it's times of connection. We try to do date night every week. Again, that's hard because of some of our dynamics. And we try to have these touch points, right? And feelings follow. I mean, it is again, disastrous masters. Feelings are bad in the sense of if they're in charge. But when we just schedule life, feelings do follow. So for that person that's like, I want the whimsy, I want all of it. I would just say like, what kind of life do you want? Because if you're waiting for your feelings, you're probably not very happy. You're probably pretty discouraged. You're probably not actually getting the most out of your relationship that in many ways it deserves and it could. Any thoughts, babe?
Yeah, you said, how do you still find like the joy in it? And I love what you said also of like, you have to know who you are. Some people being planned and really intentional sucks all the joy right out of everything.
Which is for me. Like when we plan everything, I'm like, I'm kind of out on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've grown to like planning more over
especially
time.
when it's around intimacy. I love that kind of
That's
planning.
true. You like that kind of planning.
Yeah.
I love how you answered that question strictly for sex.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
Let's
trying to turn it around about more than that.
I'm trying to speak to the male audience that is thinking primarily that.
Yeah.
And I also want to highlight, of course, romance is a part
it's
of it.
extremely important. But you mentioned joy, and it made me think of, I think as you're married longer, and you guys can attest to this, you guys have been married almost 10 years, right?
Yes.
The joy in marriage changes. The joy in life changes. Your goals or your ideas of what you thought it was going to be drastically change. Marriage is so different than what we thought at 21 it was supposed to be, or we didn't even know what it was supposed to be or why it was important at that age. But I think what brings you joy changes as you mature and grow.
Yes.
And so I think you did not love any sort of planning or
structure felt restrictive.
Yeah.
And like death to me. But in my own journey process of doing the work, I've realized like that's an area I have to grow. And so I've actually learned like, wow, introverts they've got some good stuff going on. Like I don't love all of it all the time. I like a lot of people, but I also like, man, they got some stuff figured out when they're by themselves for a week. Like that's pretty cool.
Well, you've become a very routined person because you want to live an intentional life. And so I think that you have to figure out what do you need and what does your family need to be able to live an intentional life where everybody is somewhat thriving. Now, can we overdo that and just suffocate our families? Absolutely. Sure, and I think that's where it's such a fine balance of like, we can be too aware in our current time as parents and as people of like, I got to be doing all these things the right way and I got to be intentional about every area, where we're just a stressed out mess. Like that's not helping anybody. No. But I think that extra thought and communicating together, and that's where marriage is such an interesting dynamic, because one spouse might have this grand idea of how life should be structured and maybe loves to live really regimented, and the other spouse doesn't.
She's talking about her and then me.
Yes, that's us. But we need each other. Like we are truly better together for all of the conflict that it might bring and the difficulty of figuring out how to do life together. Like it sounds like you guys have figured out how to navigate these intentional touch points together as a married couple. And that's working for both of you, it sounds like, which is beautiful. I'm sure it took you a while to figure out what worked for both of you.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious. Literally in the last 18 months, I had the revelation of like, oh, wait,
On year 10.
when she shares her perspective and it's different than my perspective, it used to be an argument, but it can be insightful. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then it takes it. No, I know it took way too long. I'm
give
admitting.
yourself
Oh,
grace.
But it's
you are
like-
not alone. You
But
are
it
not
feels
alone.
like it's so
Yeah.
personal every time. It's like,
Yes.
well, what do you mean? I don't understand why you can't see it my
Yes.
way. And then it's like, oh, well, it's
Yeah.
probably better. Honestly, if I did it my way, I'd
Yeah.
probably be floating on a river, smoking dope somewhere. You know, like have like no job. That would probably be the life I would live without
But I
Shawn.
think-
But it's like,
but what
Yeah,
you're
but you got an MBA from Vanderbilt.
No,
you
it's
think
just-
that's actually the direction
Say,
you
are
were
you
Yeah,
gonna
I
getting
don't
your
think so.
doctorate right now?
Yeah, exactly.
this is what
Yeah,
Shawn's turned me into.
But I want to say something that's really important because it's easy for people, because this will be on the internet and there's microphones and there's a beautiful studio, to think that what we're saying is authority.
Mhm.
Like what you're saying is like your check-ins are authority. And I would say, no, use whatever example resonates with your family. If that's too much structure for you, don't do it. Like, but take the wisdom in it. Like what you guys are saying and what I'm drawing from it in a personal way, which is so helpful, is be really thoughtful
Mhm.
about what you do with your time and make sure that you have specific touch points as a family, as individuals, on your marriage and on your kids. If that model feels restrictive, like, then don't, like the yoke thing that Jesus talks about is a real deal. Like you don't have to put that yoke on you.
Mhm.
And I know for me, like there's certain parts of our, like that wisdom in the world, you think that if someone has a stage or if they have a microphone that they're the authority. And I would say, no, use the wisdom of Jesus to know, like, who is my wife? Who are my kids? Like when your kids get older, they start giving you feedback, especially if you raise emotionally aware kids, which by the way, sounds nice until it bites you. Let me just give you a fun story. I came home, it was about 2 years ago at this point, and everything was calm and very clean, which is very unnormal at that stage of like, oh, you're always very clean. But I mean, like I walked in the door and everything was like no noises. It was just my two older kids sitting in the living room. They're like, hey dad, welcome home. I was like, this is weird. Like, what's happening? And they're like, you want to come sit in the living room? And I was like, yeah. Like, I was like, why do I feel like I'm in trouble? Like, what's happening? And they're like, we just wanted to talk with you about some stuff. And I was like, I immediately knew, I was like, they had coaching from mom on this. I immediately knew. It's like, well, if you really want to talk to your dad about something. So I'm sitting there, they're sitting on a couch. I'm like sitting on the, like right by the fireplace. And I'm like, hey, we just want to let you know, we know you've been really busy. Thank you for working so hard, Dad. But the way that you're responding because of your stress and the way that you're being really short with us is really hurting our feelings. And we just want you to be aware of it because it's creating a lot of stress and tension. And I'm like,
Amazing though.
yeah, amazingly sucky for this guy.
Yeah.
And the one part, like there was that part of me that's like, I helped do this.
Yeah.
And I hate being the recipient of it at the same time, because all of my own story was coming up like, you don't do this to your kid. You don't do this to your parents. You do, do as I say, not as I do. Like, I'm the authority. You don't do, it's disrespectful. And at that moment, I'm really grateful that the Spirit got my attention and it was just like, yep, you're right, guys. Okay. And then I just had to go up and like, what the heck just happened? And I'm just highlighting that to say like, it is amazing how even your own kids, when you do these intentional touch points, your kids are going to help you become a better version, especially if you give them permission to speak into your life. You're teaching them by the way of like, hey, we're gonna have these touch points as a family, but as couples, they're gonna pick up on that really quick. And then all of a sudden, your oldest is a little girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's gonna come to mom and she's gonna be like, so mom, the way that you're saying this is kind of like, it makes me feel this way. I don't love that.
She actually checked me this morning.
She did? Okay, good.
That's
So you're already there.
amazing.
You're doing a great job. So, I mean,
Thanks.
Is that what the
it's
hug
both.
was for?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I sorry.
No,
I
go.
was very impatient this morning. I don't know why. There was no reason.
It
Sure.
happens to all
Because
of
you're a
us.
human. Let's
Uh-huh.
You get
get
impatient?
But she was like the last one to wake up and come downstairs.
Mhm.
And just our routine was different.
Yeah.
And she literally like stopped me. And she looked at me and she said, Mama, are you okay this morning?
Oh.
And
sweet
like it's her
girl.
words as a
Yes.
5-year-old. So it's not
Sweet
as
girl.
much of like what's going on.
Yeah.
But she noticed it. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
Thank goodness she did it
Yeah.
because I was about to just be like, chill out. You got to chill out.
Yeah.
But
But then like I told her, I was like, Mommy, I feel tired. I don't know. It's not you.
Yeah.
And then there was some other thing where we were playing and I actually had to check our son because he
Yeah.
was not using kind words.
Mhm.
And she goes, it's okay. She's not mad. She's just a little tired this morning. And I was like,
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
wait, but he actually needs to be corrected.
No, but I really mean what I'm saying to him.
Yeah.
But
Yes. That's so good.
that's it right
love
there.
it.
You're
Yeah.
already creating a culture where it's okay to have a moment. It's okay to be honest about that moment. And it's okay for somebody else in the family to say something about you having that moment. And like you, before there was a big rupture, you repaired. And then you have your daughter telling your son,
coaching
it's
the son.
okay.
Yeah.
Like, hey, chill out, mom's having a
That
moment.
is beautiful. That is
I
absolutely
love
beautiful.
that.
I love that.
It has been. I mean, we're experiencing for the first time the effect of like our good habits and bad habits that we've shared with our kids, and it's like it is. There's nothing more exciting and fun than to see your kids pick up your good habits and like do it themselves. And there's also nothing more humbling than when you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I was trying to spike that whole generational curse or bad habit that I had. So it's like, I guess back to the intentionality, it's just how can you build awareness of how you're impacting your kids. But I think I will go so far as to give a prescription to the people listening, because I think this is coming from an unscheduled guy. Okay. What I have learned, and I think is more true now than ever, is when I am depending on whimsy in whatever sense, or like, I want to preserve this sense of adventurousness, so I don't put anything on the schedule. How do I spend my time? It's mostly just scrolling or on Netflix or whatever. So it's like, I would say default to having something on the schedule. And then you could back out of that, or like, adjust and be flexible as necessary. But I just have found myself not trusting how I spend my free time. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And it's also, I think, fascinating and been helpful for us to have like scheduled date nights. We even have monthly checkups, and we have this whole like rhythm that some months we hold better than others. But like having times where Shawn can give me feedback that are more thoughtful and not reactionary in the moment is so helpful in how I receive this. Like, I guess the term ego came up yesterday, and it's like, that's such a fascinating thing to try to fight, where it's like, there's certain times where I'm more able to receive her feedback and set aside my pride and my ego. And for me, I found that is when we have, like, Shawn can look at the schedule and be like, all right, 2 days from now, like, I'll be able to share this with Andrew. I might not right now. And maybe it gives her more time to think about the feedback or the constructive criticism.
Because you guys have like a rhythm built in where know we're going to get feedback now. I love that.
He's got it coming.
So it's like, legitimately. I mean, that's kind of how it stared. But now it's like, all right, we're doing a monthly checkup, and it's like, hey, this is a pattern that I've noticed built up, and it's not just like, her emotionally annoying me one time. It's like, no, this is actually worth bringing up, and it kind of dampens all of the mudslinging that can go on. So anyway, I would say default to schedule.
Well, and we're also at a point where I think it's time for us to start doing monthly checkups with our kids. On us, on themselves, on their siblings, but just that practice of being aware and being free to say, actually, this really bothers me and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Did that help or hurt your marriage? Like, I could only imagine that being like really intense. Was it intense?
Yeah.
I can't,
to say the least.
I can't even wait. I know you probably can't say anything, but I can't wait to see it. But I'm like, I was just curious. I'm thinking, like, we're talking about marriage, right? That had to have, did that bring up some stuff? Did that mess some stuff up? Did it help? Did it, like, what happened with that?
I feel very glad that we went into it, I think, in a good spot where, it was really fun because I saw a side of Shawn that I'd never seen before. So
really? In 10 years of marriage, you hadn't seen this side? So
I miss her whole competitive gymnastics career.
Yeah.
And the intensity that she's able to tap into is terrifying, bro. Dude, the whole vibe around the house for the couple weeks leading up to the show and on the show, it was like, who are you? You're an animal. Yeah. And it's like, amazing. It's funny because, I went pretty far in sports. She went to the top.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder what the difference is. Oh, right there. Yeah, that's it. I have nothing close to that intensity or focus. And so I think it was like really fun for us to understand each other differently. And it was also, I mean, a bunch of once in a lifetime experiences and memories.
Wow.
But I would also, I think like our understanding of love changed too, where like there was portions of that experience where it was coddling and comforting each other. But there was also portions where it was like, you're freaking out there doing this thing and you want to tap out. You want me to give you comfort, but it's not like tough love, but it's like, I believe in you. Freaking keep going. I'll see you on the other side. Yeah. So it was unique opportunities for that too.
Yeah.
But we also have learned, I think, from our athletic careers that we've now transferred into everyday life and parenting and marriage, it might sound toxic, but like we are desperately always trying to find our weaknesses. Like, what is that one thing that's going to come up in 10 years where it's going to potentially bring up the divorce word? Or like we're so proactive about things that we want to get in front of it. And we're the same way with our kids. Like, we're constantly talking to each other every night about this feels like a weakness with, our daughter or one of our sons that we need to be aware of and, foster differently between the three of them. And I think for us, we were in such a great spot before we went to the show, but it was kind of this challenge of like, could we do something like this? Is something going to come up? When we're put in such vulnerable, fear-based situations,
Yeah.
are we going to scream at each other? Are we going to quit? Are we like, it was a chance for us to expose more challenges, and was really pleasantly surprised. We didn't have a great time, but we had a great time as a couple. Like it was very strengthening.
Wow. That's beautiful.
I love that.
So
not everyone has the opportunity to do that kind of experience, but if you can remake that, I'd say that'd be a fun detail.
Welcome to Special Forces Marriage Counseling.
That's the new thing you guys should definitely just set up a boot camp right outside in the back. You guys can do a whole deal.
Just suffer.
Have therapists waiting at the finish line to be like, you do actually need to come with us.
What we saw on the field there, that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
I will say that I know this is like totally stylistic, but people get into biohacking and like trying to live forever. And I think intentionality is interesting to me because it's almost like a game or like an experiment where, like with biohacking, I like the sauna and ice bath because I'm like, all right, how long should I go and what time of day should I do it? And then what should I eat right after? And it's all like a game. So how good can I feel? And it's like, I don't really care about feeling that good, but it's more just like the information.
Yeah.
And I think with our marriage too, it's a similar thing where it's like, oh, interesting. Like what blind spots do we have? How can we expose them ourselves so that we're not bit in the tail or like blindsided by them later on? It's like, it's always just like tweaking, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it changes up the day-to-day mundane, if you will.
I was gonna say, bringing this full circle back to where we started of like the intentional side of everything within your marriage and parenting and reverse engineering it. What's a very simple, maybe the book, daily habit that can help form kiddos in your marriage and just your life to be intentional?
Do you want me to go first?
Only pick one?
Oh yeah, there's multiples. You can go first if you want.
No, you go.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think having a moment to unburden your soul to God, if it's meditation, whatever your thing is, you have to have a moment to deal with all that's going inside of you. And if you don't, it comes out of you. And most of the time it hurts the other people closest to you. So have a rhythm or routine. Some people are like, I'm a night person. Great. You're a morning person. Great. Midday person. Great. I think having a moment to pause and to just go, what am I doing? Why am I, like, just not waking up into the day and like, just go. Like having a moment to, as much as you can, even if it's a minute or two, to just pause and remember, like, what am I doing today? Why am I raising these kids? Why are we married? Like, those whys are really big. I mean, yes, the book was simply for parents because it's like the main thing you hear all the time. It's like, I got no time for this. So I was like, well, if we have a devotional that literally, if you clock it and read it from start to finish, it's maybe a minute and a half. You're getting scripture and you're able to pray over your kids over these different topics. For some, that might be a way to go. I know for us, what it looks like is mornings more. I'm now a morning person because I'm married to my wife. We're both morning people, and it looks like a version of reading scripture, spiritual reading, meaning just learning from other people that are dead and gone or just smarter than us in this space. Sometimes it's journaling. Sometimes it's just prayer. I think that is the most important thing that I do in my parenting, because if not, I usually go into the day distorted, off center. It's huge for me. So, and again, wherever you're at in your faith journey, even to have a moment and pause and just think and just not have noise. I mean, all the neuroscience about just not having noise for 10 minutes. It's just amazing what happens to your brain, your mental health. So I know for me, that is, I can't say it to everybody. I can't even say everyone should do that, but it is the most helpful thing for me by a long shot.
Yeah. I mean, I was essentially going to say the same thing and for me, everything he just said. And for me, it looks like I do better when I actually like write it down. So when I journal, it's not some beautiful thought that someday my kids are going to read. I actually hope they never read them, because
Just
it's
let me read
all
some.
of
It's intense.
I mean, sometimes I literally
Pretty
throw them
gnarly.
away after they're full, because I'm like, no one needs to read any of this. But a moment before, and for me, has to be before my kids get up. I'm not a very good parent if I wake up to my kids being awake. That's just how I'm wired.
Which is
I'm
really
very
hard if your kids wake
introverted.
up early.
So I get up very early. Like with every kid, it was like earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
But just having a moment, like a couple of minutes, I will journal out whatever it is, to what he said of like unburdening yourself to God. I'll journal out whatever it is that is on my mind that I'm worrying about, that I'm fearful of. So sometimes it's something in my own life, sometimes it's something in our marriage, or maybe it's one of my kids, or maybe it's all of the kids. And I will just write down whatever it is I'm carrying into that morning specifically, or maybe I've been carrying it for months. And then I will, after I write it down, always ask God, what do you want me to know?
Yeah.
And I'll just write down whatever it is I hear. Oftentimes it's like phrases of scripture, but it's a moment to actually sit and be able to listen to truth. I think the way that the enemy gets so after all of us right now, but I think especially parents, is with just this steady stream of using all the information we have coming our way to give us a steady stream of lies, of just things about our kids, about ourselves, that just aren't true, or they don't at least have to be fully true. And so having a minute to let God speak into what is actually true and what does he actually want me to do about it today. Not like, oh my gosh, this kid is struggling with this thing and it must be my fault and we've got to fix it. But how am I supposed to show up today?
Yeah.
And what am I supposed to do today?
That's good.
And that to me has been like so freeing to my soul. And when I don't do that, I notice a huge difference in how I parent and how I live my life. It's much more reactionary. It's much more fear-based. And my kids just feel pressure. They don't feel me like trying hard to be a good mom. They just feel pressure that they're supposed to be better kids.
Yeah.
And so that rhythm is huge.
I couldn't agree more. And as I was thinking of, for some, this might miss them completely, that, like, I don't have time in the morning. If you're looking for something like really tangible that can affect the, I think the real temperature of your home immediately, words bring life or death. This is a very biblical situation, right? Like death and life are in the power of the tongue. You can bring people up with your words, or you can destroy them. And I think for our kids, our culture, but our kids especially, are starved for encouragement, and small and big. And so we have this saying, like, your children will become who you tell them you see them becoming. So speaking life over your kids of who you see them to be, even when they aren't that yet, is a hugely powerful tool. And we see when you do that, when you call your kids up to who you see them to be, maybe not who they fully are yet, they want to live into that. And it's it's very amazing to watch in many ways. But I would say one of the practical things you can do is, like, for each kid, however many you have one that's pretty easy. If you have more than that, if you're in 4 like us, it takes a little bit longer. But have one word of encouragement each day. It can take 30 seconds. But I know that this happened with one of our daughters yesterday. I couldn't, she was at school, so I couldn't call her, but I left her a voicemail just telling her all the stuff I like really love about her right now. And like all the different details of, like, she has insane taste in music. I'm like, I'm listening to your playlist on runs. They are like, they're incredible playlists. And I think you're beautiful. And I think you're like, whoever marries you is like just crazy lucky. And they get used to this to the point where they just text back, thanks, Dad. Like, it's a really thoughtful thing I just said.
Good job.
Like, you have no idea what I just gave you. And then same thing with our son. It's a 5-minute call yesterday. I'm just like, dude, I see how much you're holding and taking. I just really appreciate that. And I see, like, I'm proud of you. My kids change the moment I start speaking life into them that way. And with Birdie James, it's like, hey, sweetie, I saw that you didn't hit your sister when you got really dysregulated. Good job. Like, I see you having self-control. And she's like, whatever. She's got a lot of unique dynamics. And for each of them, it's their own thing. But I would say, if you're like a tangible person, like, how do you change the temperature of your home? Do that. Apply that to your marriage. Just pick 1 or 2 things and be like, I love this about you today. Really does far more than we know.
Dude, I love that. I was thinking, Shawn, I don't know if you've done this consciously or not, but instead of saying, why don't you do this or that, she recently has been saying, hey, I really love it when you do this. And the whole tone is like so different.
Ooh, now it's a challenge. Now you're like, I gotta do it. I want to do it in a
it's
good
like,
way.
It's like, I don't feel
So
bad
different.
or like annoyed or like, don't talk to me like that. You're not my mom, or you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, wow, yeah, actually I can help her out and it's fun. And I was also, my my 4-year-old joins me in the gym every day at 5:30, which is
Talking about the
hilarious.
early
Wow.
life
Are
event.
you
So-
serious?
you talking about
That's
how your kids call you,
amazing.
God
dude?
bless you.
He'll
I
come in
cannot
bed.
get the kid to sleep past 5:30.
Oh my god.
On Sundays, I don't work out, and he'll come down. And he comes to my bed while I'm still asleep. He whispers in my ear, "Dad, why aren't you working out?"
Oh
And I'm
my
like, "Geez, dude, my 4-year-old, I freaking like,
Did we do this, or is this genetics? Is this, what is this? Nature or
dude.
nurture? What's happening?
But something came up this morning, and I was actually thinking about like Noah's Ark and how God tasked Adam to name
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And it was like I was fascinated because a lot of times there's more than one name that you could give something. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like Shawn, depending on the situation or how our relationship dynamics are, it's like, hey, this is Shawn, which is appropriate certainly in sometimes, or it could be like, this is my darling wife, or you know what I'm saying? And it's like the whole
Yeah. That's a good point.
interpretation of that is
Yeah.
interesting. And it's like with our kids, to your point, like speaking life
Yes.
into them, they are probably both things. Like everything is, it has the good and the bad. Like
Yeah.
Shawn is simultaneously the most thoughtful, amazing, incrable wife that I could
And
ask for. And
period.
that's it. Actually, you're the only one.
That's
But-
it.
Yeah, I
That's all
love
you
ending
are.
a sentence like with and.
But
It's great.
but it's like, what a beautiful challenge that I think, honestly, Christianity and the whole identity of who God calls us to be biblically, and like, man, we're made in his image. Like, we all have the good things. And it's like, do we have the patience, the wherewithal, the awareness to acknowledge that
Yeah.
and like, I guess, be able to share that freely? It's a good challenge for me, certainly. But
Yeah.
The space of a father and a mother speaking life to their kids, it is the difference maker. And I would also like to say this. You guys know this. You roll in all sorts of different spaces, meaning you are in and out of all sorts of different cultures, right? In the sense of space and physical space, but also just social cultures too. And what we've seen, which has been honestly really devastating to our generation, is there's a whole generation that has lost the ability to be curious about other people's lives and not talk about themselves. And we find it so disheartening. And what I mean by that is like, I don't need everybody to know about me. But man, do I feel different when someone goes, "So what's your story?" And then when they listen to it, they're like, "What are you passionate about?" You know, like when they ask questions, it seems so minor, but culturally, like if we can teach our kids, like, be curious about other people's stories, you'll have your moment to share about your story, right? But culturally, when we can do that with our kids, it's both a blessing and a curse, because we're doing that with our kids to an extent. And what we found is that because the culture doesn't move that space, they're like, no one ever asked us questions either. We're like, yeah, we know. Like, so here's how you hold that, you know? But I think if we can get to the space when you speak life to your kids and then they're confident and then you're able to just be curious in other people's stories, like there's nothing. And if you want to talk about like, how do you talk with really powerful people and leaders? Like, just ask them a bunch of questions about them.
Or your 16-year-old trying to get a girlfriend. Like, dude, that's a freaking game right there. If you go on a date and you're asking questions, lock it down.
Well, we tried to tell them about getting a job. I told them, I was like, here's a couple key words that anyone in my generation is really going to appreciate. I'm a hard worker. I show up on time. Shake his hand and look him in the eyes. If it's a guy or a girl, whatever, like just do that. He went in, he sent the application, like I think a couple days before. He walked in, met the manager, did what I said. And he goes, and the manager goes, "Hey, can you sit down for an interview right now?" And he's like, "Sure. Yeah, I got nothing going on." And so he sits down and he asks him a couple questions like, "Well, sir, I've never had a job, but I'm a hard worker. This is my background and I'll get anything done. I'll be here on time. I'll make sure that I make you proud." You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, "You want the job?" He's like, "Sure."
Can you start tomorrow?
Can you start tomorrow? So all to say, like, I think there's a secret, that a blessing that we are giving our kids, and even for any adult listening, like nobody really cares about you as much as you do. And when we take a second to just recognize, like, when we're generous with our words and we're kind and we speak life and we ask questions, I mean, it is the most important. It's like such an important gift. And I keep finding in our culture, in our moment, like that is the difference. When I meet, we get to meet so many people. When I meet people and they tell me all about their life, it's like, cool. And then I have nothing, but I don't, I can't really even, there's so many moments where I can't even ask questions. I'm just like, okay, you did a lot of cool stuff. I got it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think when we can speak life, it's huge. And
And
our marriages.
oftentimes those people, it's because they haven't had somebody be really interested in them or speak life over them as a little
Yeah.
kid
Mm-hmm.
and call out all the things that they see in them that are the attributes of God, that are beautiful things. Oftentimes it's those people are starved for that. We live in a culture starved for that. And so if we can give that to our kids young and then teach them to give that to other people, huge.
Well, I was just going to say, because I love how practical you both are, because I'm all like in the arena of marriage and family stuff, there's nothing worse than theories. Like, here's a nice thought. You're like, no, it's all. So we talk about, anytime we speak or anytime we write, it's all like, yeah, here's the idea, but like, here's the gritty. Here's how it works really in real time. So practically one thing we started doing is we won't say anything good behind somebody's back without telling them. So if we're sitting, I mean, how often are you guys talking about somebody like, this person's like, they're so rad. Like I was just so encouraged. That usually doesn't make it to that person. Now that's not because you're, intending to do that. But we just made this pact, like whenever we're talking good about somebody, we tell them. So we either literally pick up the phone or we voice memo. We love voice memos. We're voice memo people.
That's crazy to me, but that's
I know. It's okay. It's effective in certain environments. There's a different type. It's fine. Some of us are athletes and some of us are not, right? Like we all have our things. So I think that idea of like just sending a voice memo of like, hey, we said this about you. We just want you to know this is what we think. It is astounding what that can do for people. So
I love that. I also want to thank you while we're here in person because your Intentional Fatherhood podcast with J-Dub.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been on the show, right? He's been on the show.
Yeah,
love
he's great.
him. But someone sent me one of the episodes that I had not yet listened to. Big fan of the show, by the way. But it was about the Soul Friends.
Yes.
And so now we started like a little Soul Friends group, and it's been
You did?
great. Oh yeah, we got like a Thursday night meeting, and it's been awesome. So thank you.
That is what's so cool about this. We've been hearing this like all over the country. These little moments like this. Like we had no idea. Dude, that's so encouraging. Thank you for saying that.
No, thank you for all the good you guys put out there.
That almost makes me emotional because there's this space where it's like fatherhood is so hard, and I mean truly the thing that is the difference maker for me is a strong wife. So thank God for that, because I'm strong-willed, and God knew I needed somebody who was pretty tough to help me snap out of some of the realities of my own depravity. But I think it's the men that I've been able to talk to that don't shame. They build up. They're wise. They're like wanting to do that journey as well. That has like been the difference maker. So if there's a dude listening, I think get a soul friend community. And simply all that means is like bring people into the fold where you can confess, you can be honest, you can be the realest version of yourself with them, and let them call you up. Call you out, but call you up. It's not about calling you out. It's about making you a better dude. So
and we put it on the schedule though, so it's like it's locked
there.
in. It's planned.
Is it every Thursday or every other? Like, what's the schedule?
It's Thursday nights after the kids go down. So yeah, and we'll just go watch Thursday night football, and it's been good. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. This is all the touchy feely we get. Enough sentiment. We are going to dominate pickleball.
It's
all right, bro.
true.
We got a little event happening. This Thursday. There's a lot of pickleball happening. I'm a little scared because the people that are coming to this event are quite athletic and very excited about pickleball, and I'm like kind of neutral about the idea. So I'm gonna get squashed.
Dude, you gotta get the
Who
dub.
did he pick? We don't have to put this on, but who did he pick for his?
You talking about Bethke?
Yeah.
No, dude, he freaking rigged it. He got literally a college tennis player, but I'm gonna dominate.
I think we need to keep this on. Just keep this on.
Bethke, I'm coming for you.
You are
bro.
going down.
Seriously, thank you for this. This is a gift.
Thank you for
Because
saying
we
that.
do Devos every morning, like marriage.
Yeah.
But being able to have something like this, where it's part of a rhythm and routine that you can so easily do.
Yeah.
Even putting our kids to bed every night. I'm like, I need to be praying for them out loud. But then you're like, put your jammies on and like get in bed. This is amazing. So
I thought we were done with the touchy feely.
No,
we were done.
sorry.
Oh,
Enough
touchy feely.
Thank you.
I mean,
You guys
if you don't
have
feel.
Thanks for the time, guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys.